Greetings everyone. It's been a long time coming since I did another pickups video. Multiple things have held me up, but now I'm back to do another episode of pickups for you guys. And I'm really excited about this episode because there's lots of really cool stuff. We got 20 gaming items to cover. And if you think about it in a way, it's 21 games and one video game related knickknack. So let's get started. I won't keep you waiting anymore for Churrasco Voltor's next pickup video. Released in 1989 by Konami, Metal Beer. You can tell that something's not right here, being as there is no pinboard, and we have Snake sipping a cold brewski right here. Well, check this out. A little company named Ink Whiskey makes these. This is a little whiskey flask or booze flask. This was bought for me by my sister-in-law. Big shout out to Molly. And she picked this up for me knowing that I like beer and video games. And what better way to commemorate both things together than a little flask. So basically you go up here and there you go. You put all your booze up in there. You get tanked and you play some games. I think that's really neat. This is kind of tough to get back in here. I'll put it back in probably later, but this is a really neat little gift. I guess Ink Whiskey is the company that does these. Check them out. They have a little website. They seem to be pretty cool dudes, and this is a really, really awesome little product. I'm really excited to have this and maybe one day drink something out of it. Now let's go on to games. As always, we start off with the oldest stuff first and kind of move along. The Castlevania Adventure for the Game Boy. Now, this is kind of a neat story. I saw this at my local game store a couple of times, and it was super cheap, and it said still works on the bag. And I was like, why would you say that? And looking closer, the whole blip of it on the front was broken off, exposing the pins. And I was like, yeah, that would still work, but I mean, that's not for me. So this is one of those rare times when waiting out on something kind of paid off. And about a week later, they had about 3 copies of this game intact. So I played this sucker for a little bit, and I think it was about 12 bucks. And man, is this game sluggish. It's like the main character controls extremely slow. He really is moving through molasses. The guy whips slowly, climbs slowly, jumps slowly. The dreaded Castlevania knockback damage is there. It's all there to make your play headache-inducing. The only cool thing, though, besides the excellent music in the game and the nice little sprite work for a game that I believe came out in 1989, is that they are unlimited continues. So you can pretty much play until you beat it, which is pretty dang cool. Glad to have that. That's a classic right there. This is really, really neat. I'm really excited about this. Behold, it's David Bowie in Labyrinth. Now, what's really, really cool about this is a repro cart of a game that was exclusive, I think, the PAL regions. I could be wrong. But basically, how did I always kind of eyeballed this, and me and the family decided to sit down and watch Labyrinth for a while, and the kids really loved it, and I was like, oh, you know, this reminds me of the game that exists. So yeah, I decided to go ahead and order it just because I was watching the movie. And this is really neat. It's a repro cart, and I believe it's 3D printed in a 3D shell because it's pretty immaculate. I think it's brand new stuff. Maybe a donor board was used. I'm not really sure. It does have screws, not the traditional screws that you would find on an NES. It's more of a tiny screw bit here needed, not the 3/4 or the little key hex thing. It's a little different. The label is immaculate, super glossy, freshly printed, I think. This game is really cool, but really, really difficult. It's a little dungeon crawler type of deal. Think of kind of like Arkista's Ring type of deal if you want to look that up. And you have a time limit to save your baby brother from David Bowie and his creepy, super tight spandex crotch pants. So this is really neat. I'm excited to have this. I'm excited to keep playing this and maybe make some progress on it. All right, moving along to some Xbox stuff. As you know, I'm still kind of building up the Xbox collection. We start off with Project Gotham Racing. I understand that it is not the, most exciting pick out there, unless there were some of you that grew up and had fond memories with this game. But I remember when I was a young man in the early 2000s, still in high school, I recall that, you know, I was the PS2 guy. I had my Metal Gear 2, you know, Sons of Liberty, and GTA 3. Those were the Bible to me when those systems came out. And everybody that was on Xbox was totally nutting over Project Gotham Racing, talking about how awesome it was and the graphics and the controls. And it's like, oh man, I love Project Gotham. Like, you know, so when I saw this for $5 at the store, complete and in really good shape, I was like, why not? I played it. It's definitely a good-looking racing game. I'm not big on racing games unless it's the Need for Speed series or something more arcadey. This is a little arcadey, but a little bit more on the realism side. It was still a fun play. You earn kudos, or I guess bonus points, while you swerve all over the tracks and unlock new vehicles. The graphics, as always, Xbox does not disappoint with their games. It looks really nice. I'm glad I have this, so I can also join in the conversations about Project Gotham being awesome, except, you know, about 20 years too late. Moving on. More Xbox stuff. This is cool. This is called Ariah for the Xbox. Now, what's kind of neat about this game is that I had never heard of it before. And it came out, I think, around the same time as Halo 2. That might be a spoiler upcoming. Yeah, I got Halo 2. It's pretty cool. Ariah here is very lackluster and a bit generic, as you can tell by generic man and generic lady friend. Basically, she's got some kind of virus, some kind of terrible STD maybe, and he's trying to make her give her blood to cure the world. I don't know, something like that. It's totally serviceable of a shooter, and it's pretty enjoyable. And Shelder is looking at this like, STDs, and what are you talking about? But I mean, Blastoise knows what I'm talking about. Anyways, I was having a lot of fun playing this until they committed a cardinal sin for me. It decided to go on a turret section where I was driving a little Jeep thing, and lady friend there was on the gun shooting at stuff. And inevitably, I didn't know what I was doing. First time playing through this game, getting used to the Xbox controller. You can say I suck, whatever. My health ran really low. I guess I made it through a checkpoint right when I had a sliver of health left and the game saved. So every time I retried when my Jeep inevitably blew up, I would load into the game to get shot just one time and explode. Over and over and over. And I probably wasn't very observant, and I missed the part where it says restart level. But that was kind of a pain in the ass, so that made me stop playing. But I was a good couple hours into it and really enjoying this campaign. The graphics did not blow me away on this one, but it's still totally serviceable. Perfectly average game. It's Xbox exclusive as always, and not a bad pickup. And next up for Xbox, we got a lot of Xbox games on this one. Oddworld, Munch's Odyssey. So I'm not a big Oddworld guy. The original on I have it on the PS3. I downloaded it through the PSN store because it was one of the free games I got after the notorious outage of whenever that was. I really like this case more than anything. It makes me think of a frosty beverage. I played it a little bit. I have not much to say about it. The graphics are decent. The controls okay. It's just not my type of game. It seems like a collect-a-thon type of puzzler. And maybe I'll check it out a little bit more later, but it didn't really blow me away. Moving along. I saw this in the store and I initially thought it said Big Pimpin', but in reality it's Big Bumpin'. This is one of the Xbox Burger King games, and you can see that it's in this Xbox 360 type case because it includes the 360 and original Xbox version. So you pop it into whatever system you have, it automatically recognizes and plays the correct version. So this works on the 360 and the original Xbox. Now this game is basically just bumper cars. It's not a bad way to go. There are different avatars. You could be the king, you can be the chicken. I think you can be a sandwich, maybe. I don't know. It seems like a stupid, mindless party game. Very limited options against the computer, survival, or some junk like that. Not much of a story. But would you expect one? Not really. But immaculate condition, complete with all its pamphlets and all its junk. All these games are complete, as always, on this video, unless I say otherwise. But this was a really nice little pickup for a few bucks. chicken. So, moving along. I picked up the classic Sneak King, which is also in the Burger King series. It involves the king prattling about in his musty king robes, shoving burgers inside unsuspecting people's mouths, and then busting out in a jovial dance. So, how can you say no to that? I had to pick this up. Now, with the Sneak King in my collection, if you look up the Sneak King commercial too, look it up. It's terrifying. But you should definitely check it out. This was when Burger King was really on top of their game as far as advertising, in my opinion. I think the King was a great idea. But yeah, I was playing this to check it out, and my 4-year-old wandered into the cave, and he was telling me, Daddy, you know, some 4-year-old thing. He wanted to tell me some little story. And all of a sudden, he just stopped whatever was in his mind, and he just looked at this and he was like, what are you playing? When he saw the king busting out in some sweet Michael Jackson moonwalker moves after shoving an egg croissant in some chick's face. So this was really neat. And now after owning Sneak King and Big Pimpin' over there, I am only missing, I believe, the Pocket Bike Racer game for the Burger King games. So that's pretty neat. Next up, you got Sega GT 2002. Once again, another car game. These Xbox guys really like their cars. Why did I pick this up? Not necessarily for the Sega GT, which is a totally serviceable racing game. I think Project Gotham beats it by a bit, but it's still a cool game, just a little difficult for me. Because this is this was a pack-in for some kind of system, I think for the system itself at some point, that included, boom, a dual disc of Jet Set Radio Future. Now this game, if you get it by itself, it's about $40-something right now, I think. So this pack-in game, this cost me about $10 or $15. No manual on this one, though. But it has the dual disc, and since I have no nostalgia for these, this was just a really awesome and cheap way to get a pretty expensive Xbox game that a lot of people love, and it comes packed in with Sega GT 2002. I played Jet Set Radio Future for a while, and I could see the appeal. The graphics are nice and cel-shaded, so they have held up remarkably well. Think of it as Tony Hawk without as many tricks, and more spray painting and graffitis type of stuff and little missions. Not a bad way to spend time. I played it for about an hour or two and had a decent amount of fun with this. Glad to have it. Both of these. The last Xbox game, this came from my brother all the way in Canadian. This is Halo 2. I have not beat the original Halo 1 yet, because I've been bogged down by a billion things. But here's Halo 2 in all its glory. The cool thing was, when he sent it to me, it came with an extra paper in addition to the manual. And it was the cover art and the back in French. Because, you know, in Canada, they speak the French. So I kept it with the, you know, English stuff. But it's pretty cool that it happened. I've slipped the other artwork into an empty case. And maybe I can pawn it off as a really rare French game or something. I don't know. But I played this for a bit. The graphics seem to be improved from Halo 1. I'm excited to eventually beat Halo 1 and continue the story of the Master Chief as he destroys aliens without prejudice and planets that are not his. So, really pumped for this one. All right, we wrapped up the Xbox stuff. Now let's move on to PS2, and PlayStation stuff in general from here on out. Tocobot Plus. Mysteries of the Karakuri. So this was on a recommendation from, I believe, a Metal Jesus Radical Reggie compilation video. This game, from my understanding, was originally on the PSP, and it did pretty well. There's the PSP art, I believe, on the manual. This is a beautiful copy. I got it for $20. It was like never been played with, never opened or something like that. It was great. This is basically Pikmin for the PlayStation. If you guys like Pikmin and you have a PS2 and you like PS2 games, maybe you want to give this a try. I played it for a limited amount of time, but you have these little robots. You're this kid, and you have these little robots, and you can put them in different formations to build ladders, gears, I think, some weird shapes and things to get you through the level. It's like a puzzler fighting game, adventure game. It's pretty neat. The cel-shaded art has held up amazingly with nice voice acting. This could be like an early PS3 title. It's so nice. I'm definitely getting back into this one. This was fun. I look forward to delving back into Tocobot Plus. The stack is going to fall over here. This next PS2 game is the last PS2 game for the month. And it's a really good one, though. Road Trip. Now, you guys recall, I think last pickup video or 2 videos ago, I was really excited about Seek and Destroy, the tank game, the sentient tanks. Well, this is sentient cars, and they race. You can customize so much in this game. The engines, the wheels, the rims, the tints, the color of your car, the parts, spoiler, tires, brakes, all sorts of stuff. And once again, in a sentient world where your sentient car talks to other sentient cars about how racing is life. The racing is nice and tight, a little arcadey, but really fun. The sense of progression is really there. There are radio stations, I think only 2 of them, but it's fun to listen to. An open world, and you race around to different towns to compete in the corresponding cup to move up your ranking and race in bigger races with bigger rewards. For those of you that are collectors, this is a blue bottom disc, meaning some PS2s might have some trouble reading it. But usually if I have that trouble, I put the little, the piece of tape flanking each side of the ring on the inside here. One here and one here. And usually one little tiny piece of Scotch tape will keep it down enough closer to the laser to make it read. I didn't have to do this with this one for some reason. It worked fine. But I am pretty pumped to have this in my collection now to add to Seek and Destroy, and I will get back to this. I highly recommend Road Trip. This is a fun time. Moving on to PS3, and I've been kind of busy on PS3, and guys, let me tell you right now is the time to collect for PS3 and PS4 before the prices blow up. It really is. First up, Tekken 6. So, my brother sent me this from Canada as well, and in my quest to buy back everything I sold, this is one of the games I sold, because Tekken 6 quite honestly disappointed me a little bit as far as quality of my Tekken games. But I needed to get this back. And here it is. Thank you to my brother. Big thanks, because I needed this. And I do have a very fond memory of this. There is a stage that there are lambs or sheep or rams scuttling about the whole fighting arena. And as you battle, you can kick them accidentally, I think, and they baa in response, and they fly away. They get booted, and they baa. So me and my buddy, I remember we were playing once, and we had a blast just laughing at the stupid sheep getting kicked in the face. So that alone, for that memory alone, this is great to have again. But yeah, I really want to check out Tekken 7 for you guys. If you play Tekken 7, can you tell me in the comments, is it back to the form of what Tekken used to be? Hit me up, let me know. Glad to have this. Alright, this is pretty cool. Ninja Gaiden Sigma. Why is this cool, would you ask? Well, a couple of reasons. Number one, on the Xbox, this is one of the more expensive games, the original Ninja Gaiden. It's not the Sigma, just Ninja Gaiden, I think, and later turned Ninja Gaiden Black. On the original Xbox, it's pretty pricey. And, well, not super pricey, but, as pricey as an Xbox game can get. But the main reason this kind of appeals to me is because as a wee lad, when I first picked up my PS3, I remember going with my dad to Best Buy. And I forget what was my first PS3 game. It might have been, I think, Resistance or something. I don't know. But another game that my dad said, let's get you another game. And I said, I really want this. This looks cool. So I asked the Best Buy guy, hey, I want this. And he was like, oh, we're all out. So, yeah, I only walked out with the one game, which is fine. And I don't remember what that game is, but I do remember the game I missed out on. Isn't that weird? And I found this at the store for a few bucks, and it was the greatest hits version, which is fine. I didn't own the original plain version, so I don't mind. And it was the greatest hits label on a plain see-through PS3 case, so that bothered me. So I went back to my collection, and sure enough, there was a game that had the regular non-greatest hits art on a greatest hits box. So I swapped those and made myself my copy complete with its paperwork. I think the red PS3 greatest hits cases are not the prettiest thing, but it's still cool to have. I had fun playing this. The graphics are not too impressive for an early PS3 game, but it's still nice, and it's a quick and responsive hack and slash action game where you get to be a ninja. I mean, come on. And just for the memory alone, this is definitely worth it. This next one was an interesting pick. Beyond Two Souls with Ellen Page and Willem Dafoe. This is the Quantic Dream series of games like Heavy Rain and Detroit Become Human, things like that. Where it's more of a movie, an interactive movie than a game. But I heard a lot about that, and I heard that this game was garbage, complete garbage. But for $9, I got the steel case, which I mean is about going price. Unfortunately, none of these codes were any good anymore for the downloads, whatever, with a little slip cover and everything. I'll tell you what's surprising about this. This has more gameplay than you would think, with beautiful graphics. Some of the best graphics I think I've ever seen on the PS3. And I beat this game. I actually sat down to check it out, and the story immersed me. It's not the greatest story, not the greatest gameplay, but it's such an ambitious project that I played it pretty much all throughout, and this took maybe 6 to 8 hours to beat. And it was a great little experience and totally caught me by surprise. So I highly recommend picking this up. Doesn't have to be the Steelbook, but pick this up. This is a good time. I don't think you'll regret it, especially if you like those type of games like Heavy Rain. So check it out. Beyond Two Souls. Caught me by surprise. All right, this next one's really cool. Alice, Madness Returns. So earlier I talked about how Castlevania, that store, waiting paid off, right? This is another situation where waiting kind of paid off. I seen this game at the store for a while, and it was only $20. As you know, as some of you may know, the PS3 has some very expensive titles, and this used to be a pretty pricey one. But it's on a roller coaster of ups and downs. I think it went as expensive as $60 or $80 at some point, where it's crashed back down, and it's rising again though, about $35. This was $20, except the case had a big old scratch on it on the front where it looked like a tiger had attacked it. And I just went up to the guy and said, "Hey man, can I, I didn't want to jip him out of a case, so I picked up like a copy of Rock Band or some crap for PS3, and I said, hey, do you mind if I pick this up? It's like $2. I'll swap cases." And he said, "No, don't worry about that." And he gave me a much nicer PS3 case that I slipped this into. And I was like, all right, awesome. So I picked it up and I took it home. It was still sealed at that point, resealed. I took it home and I was like, what, for $20, I mean, how good can it be? When I opened it, the disc was in immaculate condition. And it had, on top of that, all its little pamphlets, which is kind of rare in PS3 in general for them to even have pamphlets, and more so for a used copy to have the pamphlets still. The disc is currently in the PS3 because I'm actually playing through it now. It's a decent time. It's a God of War light with fantasy, lots of more fantastical elements and a little bit more cutesy, dark cutesy. It's a little sloppy and choppy, the game, honestly, doesn't perform very well. And Alice, as a character, has some much more limited combat than like Kratos or something like that. But one disturbing thing that's kind of low quality that bothered me is whenever you 360 Alice, or 180 her to turn the opposite direction, her animation's horrible. Like there are a bunch of missing frames. It just like basically spins around and her hair disappears and her face appears. Her hair disappears and her face appears, just to symbolize that she turned. Check it out. If you have a copy, check it out. See how jarring that is. But nonetheless, I'm still having fun playing it. The game itself at its core is still fun. I'm glad to have this before it blows up in price again. So really cool pickup for a great price. I've been wanting this for a bit, and it was just a perfect storm of circumstance to get this. All right, next, moving on to PS4, winding down the video. Stubbs the Zombie, a Rebel Without a Pulse by THQ Nordic. Where can I start? As you know, Stubbs the Zombie is one of the pricier original Xbox games, between maybe $60 and $80, I think, for a complete copy right now. I have no nostalgia for it, right? And so I got it for PS4 for about $25 on eBay. Brand new. Don't get this game. Don't buy it. I've heard online after researching that it crashes a lot. And this seems to be a problem on all versions, computer version included. I think it's on the Switch too. from my personal experience as I was playing it, I was having fun. It's kind of a dumb game. You walk around, you eat people's brains, you make new zombies and attack more people and eat more brains. The graphics are kind of ugly. They didn't really do much with this remaster, whatever you want to call it. But it's still fun. It's responsive. The story's goofy. There's some genuinely funny moments in this game, like what the people say when they're getting eaten, like, oh, it's in my brain, and they explode. I think it's genius. But sure enough, I was playing, and the campaign, I think, is relatively short, maybe anywhere in the neighborhood from 5 to 8 hours maybe in there. I was about 3 to 4 hours in the day I received it because I was having a lot of fun, and I was playing through it, and sure as shit, the game crashed right after a cutscene. Not only did it crash, but it crashed so hard, it corrupted my save file. So erased all my time. So there was a night wasted. Even though I guess you could say video games in general can be kind of a waste of time, maybe. But this really made it feel that way. And for that, I was very upset. Will I get back into it? Yeah, I probably will try it again at some point. But that really pissed me off, man. That really irked me. I can't speak for the Switch version because I don't remember hearing specifically about the Switch version. But I think THQ Nordic did a horrible job porting this game. They should be kind of ashamed of themselves because I don't think this issue was ever patched. Because I think this thing has been out for a year or two. This issue was never patched to my knowledge. And people still bitch about the crashes. And yeah, mine crashed. It crashed so hard that I lost all my data. As far as the game itself, it's fun. There are some frustrating moments when you mind control people and travel and control them with your hand, your disembodied hand floating on their head, which is kind of neat concept, but executing a little sloppy. Basically, the game boils down to you walk around, you eat some people's brains, you make a little army of zombies, and you lay back while they kill everyone. Rinse and repeat. But the humor is there. It's funny. I enjoyed it while the fun lasted. But honestly, guys, as it is, I cannot recommend you guys to pick this up. All right, let's get a little weird. Really weird. Doki Doki Literature Club Plus for the PS4. I understand it's on PS5 also, but my understanding is that this is like a graphical novel type dating simulation thing with some horror elements, like mental type stuff, depression, suicide, dark stuff, guys. But I picked this up. It was $25 brand new. Why didn't I pick it up for PS5? Just because I don't think you need haptic triggers for a game like this. I'd rather keep my PS5 memory open to more things. I mean, nothing against the game. I haven't checked it out yet. And it came out with all the free goodies, the stickers. And when I originally saw this, and before I ordered it, I was kind of pumped because I thought this was going to be an actual floppy disk, the way they had, presented it. So I thought that was kind of neat, but unfortunately it's just a little piece of paper. Anyways, if you want to know more about the game, check out Gnarly Seabass Gaming. He streamed this game, and it looks pretty interesting. His version has voices. Mine does not. He played it on the Switch. I heard that the PlayStation versions are censored, and I was kind of bummed about that, but when I looked into what was really censored, from my understanding, I could be wrong, what is censored, I think, is blood. Sony pulled a Super Nintendo type move and said, I don't want the blood to be colored blood. I want it to be colored black, like ink. Like back in the day, you remember the Mortal Kombat 2 debacle? Where the Super Nintendo version, the Mortal Kombat 1 debacle, the blood in Mortal Kombat 1 on the SNES was colored gray to be like sweat being punched off of people. And the Sega Genesis said, nah, man, we're going to have blood. And everyone was like, oh, that version's better. And, I could see the appeal of having an uncensored version. If you have the option, yeah, get the Switch one. Get the vision as it was intended to be. But this is not a bad way to go. If some blood is colored black, I can live with that. I think some things might be censored or blurred. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I am pretty pumped to have this and check out a game that is totally out of my wheelhouse. 2 more games to go, guys. We're winding it down. This next one's really interesting, too. Sakura Wars for the PS4. I also picked this up brand new. And, as a little sidebar, check out GameStop online. Buy their stuff online. They actually have a decent selection of online stuff, and especially if you buy it new. Like, I got Doki Doki and Sakura Wars, and I think Doki Doki was $25, this was $20. Brand new games. And buying from them used, I know, is kind of risky because you might get one of those hideous generic cases that look like they're covered in, you know, disgusting things. But this is a good way to build a collection, a backlog, maybe of stuff that you always wanted to check out. Once again, it came back with a bunch of goodies like stickers and pamphlets for downloads that I'll probably never use. So this is another dating sim. I know I'm being very radical Reggie and very weeb-like on this pickup right now, but bear with me. The reason I picked this up mainly, it was because I remember for the PS2, for the longest time on my wanted PS2 games, the Sakura Wars Farewell My Love, I think, was the version I wanted for the PS2. That game has become ridiculously expensive. I think for the collector's edition, what you want it complete, I think it's like 150 bucks on eBay right now. And I remember when this came out, I was like, maybe the series is still cool and I could check this out. So you know what? For $20, I picked this up brand new. I will check out if I like the gameplay, if it's worth me investing $150 on the PS2 version, which probably won't be, honestly, but maybe it blows my mind. Maybe this is a life-changing game. But basically, it's a dating sim in the 1940s. You're the pimp master, the Mac Daddy, like the Burger King, and you have all these chicks to pick from to romance, I guess. But in between, there are mech battles, like real-time mech battles against groups of demons, which is pretty neat. I will definitely get into this and check it out and see if the PS2 one is worth picking up. All right, let's wrap it up. The final game of the video, Elden Ring on the PS5. I had to pick this up. I am a huge Souls game fan. No pamphlets, because they don't, games don't believe in pamphlets anymore. And the disc is currently in the PS5. I'm playing through it. I'm very leery of From Software and what they've done with this series, because I love Demon Souls. I love Dark Souls 1 and 2 and 3. I was kind of lukewarm on Bloodborne. It wasn't really my style. I guess I like the methodical, slower combat. And Bloodborne was a little too cryptic for its own good. Like, it was trying too hard, in my opinion. I mean, I played a fair portion of it, but then I got bored and stopped. And then Sekiro destroyed my world, and it was just, I did not like it at all. The customization wasn't there. And you guys can say whatever you want. It was too difficult for me. I couldn't, just the most basic enemy could decide to just flip the switch and just kick my ass. I wasn't having fun. This goes back to its roots, and I was really leery, and at first, I did not like the open world one bit. And I still think the horse is stupid. I understand why the horse exists. It's a massive world. We got to traverse it. But I don't like the horse combat. It's tedious. It's annoying. It's not accurate. But everything else is pretty much true to form, to what the old FromSoft games used to be, the old Souls games. I really like this game. I'm so surprised at how much fun I'm having. I have 2 characters so far. One with 8 hours and the other one with like 20 hours on. So I've invested almost 30 hours into this. I've had this since release date. In the limited amount of gaming time I get to check it out. I'm having so much fun.